Hello, Needham Cultural Council. Okay, so hi, I'm Charlie Nanda. I'm the new chair of the Needham Cultural Council.
Woo!
Pick it up a notch. I'm going to start with some applauding and then I'm going to bore you with some script. Here we go. This is some important information I need to read from the town of Needham. As a preliminary matter, this is Charlie Nanda, Chair. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. I will do a roll call now. Sharon Breitbart, are you here?
I am.
Yay! Gail Lustig, are you here?
I am.
I see you. Elizabeth Cook, are you here?
I am.
Hello, Elizabeth. Kathy Friedberg, are you here or are you in the tropical islands?
No, I'm here.
Julia Gould, our secretary, are you here?
I'm here.
Yay, new secretary. Yael Halpern, hello, are you here?
Here.
Hi. Monique Harrington, have you arrived? I don't see you, I don't hear you, so you are absent as of now. Kristen Mazzacci, have you joined us yet? She told me she was going to be late, so she may join us later. She's ex officio, so we won't count her. And Anne McCaffrey, our beautiful.
I'm here.
Hello, Anne.
Hello.
And Betsy Milan.
I am.
Mullane.
Mullane.
Betsy Mullane. Hello.
Call any way you pronounce it. It's fine.
Betsy. And Charlie Nanda, I am here. It looks like we're only missing one person, so we are at a quorum. Hooray. Okay, I'm going to read the introduction to the remote meeting. Good evening, it says. This open meeting of the Needham Cultural Council is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020. Due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth, due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus, in order to mitigate the transmission of the virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, Governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. There's a part that also says the best practices are to mute your microphone during video chatting, unless you're being called on, because if you have people or children in the background, we can hear everything. So ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Needham Cultural Council is convening by Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. At this point, we don't have any public joining, but it's very useful when you are being asked to speak to say your name. For recording purposes, later on this will be posted on YouTube and people will know who's speaking and when. And for our Julia, our new secretary, so she can take notes afterwards and make sure she knows who's speaking. Let's see. All supporting materials have been provided by members, provided members of this body are available on the town's website. That's the agenda, unless otherwise noted. We don't have any other supporting materials at this point posted. Okay. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I'll call on anyone who has their hand raised. So we won't go through the roll call unless you have your hand raised. You can physically raise it because I think I can see everyone, or you can do the little button that says hand raising. Okay, so please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. There's no voting tonight, so we don't have to do roll calling for voting unless we come up with something we need to vote on. So the first order of our agenda is welcome. The second is approval of the past minutes. I found a really cool technique where I can say, would anyone like to make a motion to approve the past minutes? And then the person would say their name first and whoever wants to second it. So you don't actually have to repeat the motion. So would anyone like to make a motion?
Would like to make a motion.
I'd like to second.
And what are
You
your
forgot
names?
your name, Sharon.
I'm Sharon Breitbart. I did.
Thank you, Sharon. And then we'll do a roll call for the minutes approval, unless anyone just wants to say nay or they have any public comment. Raise your hand if you want to make any notes on the minutes. Okay, then I'll say all in favor of the minutes, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, then I'm going to take that as a roll call. Our minutes have been approved. That's for you, Julia. Okay, second thing on the agenda, we have update on the Mass Cultural Council grant process. So I did speak to Timothea today, and hopefully you guys all get messages from the local Mass Cultural Council site. It looks like we're delayed about a month. So I'm going to go through a quick timeline. It's a good little cheat sheet reminder. The opening for the applications at this point will be October 1st, and the deadline for applications will be November 16th, which is about 1 month behind. It still is in the Mass State Legislature for our funding. The budget has not been passed. So I think there's a possibility that this could all change, but at this point, this is the timeline they're giving us. I spoke to her and asked if the funding could be much reduced. They really have no idea what our amount. Last year we got $6,800. But what she did tell me, which I thought was very interesting, was, and I quote, the LCC program is the only program at the Mass Cultural Council where funding is written into legislation. So every municipality has to receive at least $1,000 for arts and culture. And the LCC program is the only way to distribute that funds. So it sort of means that we have a guarantee of at least $1,000, which she also said, this is a new year, a new world at this moment, so anything could change, but that's what we're going with at this point, that there will be funding, however much that is. I think we need to think and talk about as a council what happens if our funding is much reduced, if we should come up with a fundraising plan to supplement our grant money with our amazing Betsy Mullane as lead on fundraising, as she always has been doing such a great job in the past. So that was one idea. Gail, can I hand it over to you, Ms. Lustig, as our treasurer, to do a little report on everybody? I thought it would be useful to have Gail give us a treasury report on the groups that have already been funded and if there's anything outstanding or anything she wants to also add to that. Go ahead,
Yep.
Gail.
So Gail Lustig, treasurer, giving the report. So we have sent the grants out to all but one of our grantees. One of them we're not hearing back from. We usually in the past have held the money up to a year in case they reach out to us. For the next meeting, I will have a report based on who held their events and who didn't. It's about a third of the people held the events. Another group of people didn't hold them, but they had expenses. One example would be Needham Open Studios. You know, their brochure is produced way in advance. Sorry for the phone in the background. Yes, I have a landline. And so they already had printing costs that they had incurred. Some of the others had already incurred like permit program costs and things like that. So with the revised COVID rules, they were allowed, even though they did not hold their event, they were allowed to apply to any funds that had already been spent in advance of the event to apply their grant to that. So I'll I'll go through the list, and most of them actually spent something. There are a few that have completely deferred, and they can defer through this fiscal year, which would be June 30th. One of the things we want to think about, you know, assuming we get 1,000 or more than that, is if these people apply again, we might want to just remind them that they got their money already if they hadn't spent it. But most of them had expenses because they just exist and have to pay some bills. So I'll try to put that together in a little bit different manner. Right now, I usually work with Michelle, our town accountant, who right now is closing the books for the town. So usually in September, she frees up a little bit more. So I should have more information, hopefully by the September, but October at the latest. We have to file our annual report by the end of September, although I do want to see if they have changed that, Charlie. I'll look. I don't know if
Actually,
anything was
yeah,
mentioned.
they have changed it.
Okay, I was thinking maybe that there's an extension.
Yeah.
So, but we try to get it done anyway if we have it. For those of you who are sort of new and last year was your first grant process, we are part of a pilot, which is actually a couple years in the making. So in the past, what used to happen with the community councils is people would have to have their event, they'd submit an invoice, and we would pay them, like say we gave them a grant of $400, but their program was only $350, we'd only pay them $350. The pilot says, we're just going to give you the grant that we allotted to you, and all you have to do after the fact is show us a brochure or something that happened, that the program actually happened afterwards. So it's actually easier bookkeeping wise. We don't have dollars and cents and things like that. But what that means is that the people are, holding their money, putting it towards the expenses. So we know what money has gone out. So it's easy for us to do our annual report, where some of the other cultural counselors who are still in the old way probably have a lot of things they're figuring out, like how to pay people, do they pay people, where's their fiscal year, that kind of thing. So that's my report. We have on the grants. Any question on the grants before I talk about our other money? Okay. So we have this other money that we always talk about. And Charlie and I were talking about this last night. So we got the reports from Michelle, and Michelle Valancourt, I should say her full name. She's the town accountant. And we have one account, which is historically called the Need Arts account, and it has about $4,300 in that. That includes the money that our wonderful Betsy has helped raise for the electric boxes. So there's one for $1,000 and one for $1,500. And then there's this other account that has about $1,000 in there that's called a lottery account, which I don't quite understand. So what I would like to research is, so the Need Arts, for years and years ago, there was a Need Arts Art Council, which evolved into the Community Council. What I'd like to find out is there a way that we can rename these two accounts? We can't touch the grant account. That's very specific. That has to stay by itself. But take those two accounts, combine them, rename it like Needham Cultural Council donations or something to better reflect what it is, so that people know what it is. We can talk about how it can be used. And this is where the arts and crafts came. This is where the lights came for Needham Lights, things like that. But it would be good to combine the accounts and make it very clear what we have and what it's used for. So, but we still have some money that's out there for projects. I know the money for the donations are earmarked for the electrical boxes. So we don't have, that's 2,500 we don't have, but it would be good to know, like, what's the combined amount, because it's kind of confusing the way that it's booked now. So any questions about those accounts? I hope to work that out. So
I think we talked about also taking 5% maybe from the MCC for administrative costs that we could use towards administration of any digital tools we might need in future.
Yeah, I mean, I
add that in there.
Personally, I think we have enough money right now that we don't necessarily need, well, I feel bad taking it from the grantees if we have money, which is why I'd like to get the combined picture of the accounts. Like if we have $3,000 available. I don't think we should take from the small amounts of the grantees, but if it's lower than that, then maybe we should, you know, put aside the 5%. So I'd like to get the full picture before we vote on that.
Anybody have questions for Gail? I think we should say hi to Krista Mizzachi, our ex officio member has joined us.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi
Yay.
guys.
Oh wait, we have an attendee, guys, too. Oh, that's Clay.
Yeah, I'm just here in case there's any questions.
Okay.
We're
So
just
the other-
glad you're here.
Say hi.
The other MCC updates I thought you guys might be interested in is September 1st, we're going to get a new password sent to us for the login for the Local Cultural Council Toolkit, so we can access their website and all of our information. And then the panel books will come to us in December, apparently, and then the voting would happen November, December, January. And then the annual report would be in February, due February 16th. So we'll see how that goes. Did you guys all get emails from Timothea today with updates about advocacy? And then there's open office hours on Thursday at 2 o'clock if anyone's interested in popping by and asking her questions. I'll be there. I've been attending the community check-ins they have every month, and they've been fascinating other groups around Massachusetts and what they've been up to. There's some amazing work happening. But that led me to Mass Creative has been presenting at every one of these, and they have they're an advocacy organization in Massachusetts for the arts. And it was something that I thought might be a really great thing for us to have a lead in advocacy on our panel somehow, to start doing a little bit more research. I know I personally sometimes write letters to my senators and representatives, but maybe that's a piece of the puzzle that as a cultural council, we could have some more, and be helpful in, because it doesn't cost money. It's just advocating for legislature. So is anybody interested in that advocacy piece? There's some, Americans for the Arts also has a big website and an action network that has. Does anybody have background in politics or interested in the advocacy portion for the council? Maybe
I do actually have a question, and no, I don't have that background, but have they talked about making these not always in the middle of the afternoon? Or are they just always in the middle of the afternoon, and we're kind of out of luck if?
They are posted afterwards, so you can watch it, because they're mostly watching. I don't know about the office hours in the middle of the day, but I can mention it to her when I have a call with her.
I mean, I wouldn't want her to have to work late either. I just feel like a lot of times people will have like an afternoon meeting and then an evening meeting, and like they'll kind of switch out. But if you say it's mostly just listen, that's good. I can always log on.
The office hours is different. That's for asking questions, but the community updates is what's going on about town. But it just, you know, they keep having Mass Creative coming on board. Obviously, it's a very different time because there's a lot of need for budget advocacy. They did some updates. I'm not sure how interested y'all are on that, but there's two major acts going on. There's the Save Our Stages legislation that's really trying to make get a budget for outdoor performance venues, indoor performance venues, the large scale, and even like clubs and concert spaces. And then there's another act, the Restart Act. And so that's, you know, funding for artists. But there's a lot to follow. It's kind of a full-time job, and she does these amazing updates, the chair of the Mass Creative, but it's a lot to absorb. So if email me if you have interest in that or thoughts about that later. I think maybe that's something to think about for our September meeting. Hi, Monique. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
Yay, you made it. So raise your hand if you have any comments on the MCC agenda item, the grant process, or have any questions about it. If not, we'll move on to our marketing committee update. Okay, I don't see any hands. Okay, so the marketing committee, we met in July, I say committee, but it was Julia, Yael, and I drinking wine in the town square. Maybe I was drinking wine, but we just had a nice little chat in the town square. Monique showed up and said hi. But we did a lot of talking about our future, but also we kind of focused on what we really think is the most important things for us to work on this next year is audience and brand building to build, you know, our outreach for increasing the number and diversity of grants that applicants that we receive. Also the calendar, which is something that we really want to do, and partnerships with organizations to get what we want accomplished. But we did.
I would like to say that the newsletter was awesome.
All right, so we did the newsletter. Yay! Our first ever newsletter. Hooray! Hey,
I have
Betsy, you want to say
question.
something? Yeah. Go for it, Betsy.
You know, you were talking about, you know, the Mass Council and, you know, the political agenda and things like that. And we're in a unique situation right now in this COVID environment. And if we could make any art out of it, it might be a tremendous thing. And I think about the electric boxes, and I think quotes from kids about how they're enduring the COVID, or some art to come out of it when we're on the other side of it. I don't know how we could incorporate it, but perhaps a contest or something like that.
All right, I love your thoughts. They're amazing.
But-
I have 2 agenda points where you can bring that.
Okay, good. I just didn't want to miss one of those points.
Don't
Thank you.
miss that. Keep that feeling in there, Betsy. I love that. So I have some statistics because Julia is the most amazing newsletter maker of all time on Constant Contact. So we use that. We sent it out to 87 people. 47% of the people have opened it already. Someone mute their microphone for me. And we've had 4 responses from the survey, which we linked embedded into the newsletter. So we're getting some metrics already on people looking at it. And as Kristen can attest, we got a bunch of emails today from artists who already want to know about the granting cycle. So they saw it and they had questions afterwards. So that was good. People were talking about it a little bit. For the survey, we added a bunch of questions. I think maybe some people have seen it, but about whether they would use a calendar in the future if we built a calendar. So far, that's a yes out of the 4 people that replied. We also were interested in we have to set our council priorities by October 1st so that the grants can figure out what they want to sort of build what the grants, what we're asking grantees to submit. So we can build that off of ideas if we get enough surveys. Gail has nicely agreed to post the survey on Facebook. We'll send out another email blast with the survey. And then hopefully on the email, I would love if everyone could send that to their networks. I did a little research and it seems like other cultural councils not only send it to their artists and former artists, they also put it in the newspaper or send it to the general public to hear what they have to say as well, which I think could be useful. Kristen.
So Charlie, just when we talked today and I mentioned how much better the Needham website seems,
Yeah.
I wonder if you could ask Sandy to put it, a link to it on our website.
Yeah, I noticed
our page.
there's a newsletter line too, so maybe we could get
Yeah.
the newsletter and the survey.
Yeah.
Good idea. The other thing we talked, hi Julia, what do you?
Hi, this is Julia. Do we want to send this to the town to see if they can put it on their Facebook page? Or is that what Gail was planning to do?
I was going to put it on the unofficial page. So the Needham town page really doesn't get a lot of traffic itself, but I was going to put it on the unofficial page, and I'll just tell my fellow moderators I'm doing it. It's nonprofit. They're not going to delete it. But I was going to put the newsletter, and it's easy to do because you know how in the newsletter itself it says click here if you're not seeing it, so you can see it in your browser. So I was going to put that link and ask people, you know, we want feedback from the general public. So
And I
will do
can, I
that
can
right
tell
now.
Sandy maybe to post, if she can post it on their Facebook page too, or whatever they.
Yeah, I don't think it can hurt. Might as well post it both places.
The
Yeah.
rule of 3, you want to see it 3 times before you actually do something about it, right?
Yep.
Okay. The second thing that we worked on, Julia and I actually built the Cultural Council a website. So we do have a website. It's not live, and we're still sort of working on bits and pieces of it. But what the 3 of us at the marketing committee kind of came up with is, if you build it, they will come kind of strategy. So we think if we can meet with Cindy, the PIO officer at the town, and we show her, this is the kind of stuff we're looking at. This is what we want the website to look at. Like, we want to, this is what we're going with our brand. This is the visuals we're looking for. Then maybe that would help get it through. And what I noticed when Kristen showed me the website on the town today, there is a side link on the town website that says social media, and you click on that and it shows you all the different Instagram, Twitter handles, websites of all the different town agencies. So like the police station has a Twitter handle, and so there is a case for it for us, I think. So that was our thought. But also the town website needs a little bit more updating. I updated all the members' names and our roles, but there's a couple other places. There's a community links page we could update, and definitely the grant page needs to be updated with the 2020 information, whether it's delayed or not. And there was another spot there. The meeting section, what time and date our meetings are. And then hopefully if we build a calendar, which Yael has been awesome as our lead on, we could put that in there too. So that's the update from the marketing committee. Raise your hand if you have any questions, comments about marketing, or we can just move on to the next section. Anybody? Okay, moving on. The update on the electrical box. Dun, da, 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 da.
Nice.
John Judge's Reach, mocked up. It passed the design. Thank you, Sharon. It passed the design review board last week. We're thumbs up. I sent it over to Speed Pro Graphics. They've made a proof. John Judge has been working with them. The proof has been approved by him, and we have an installation date of August 31st. So it's moving. John is going to be there with me and the installer and Michael Price. He's the head of Speed Pro Graphics. And Yael was instrumental last year on helping get this on, because it's a little tricky to put a sticker on a box. So that's moving forwards. We need to do publicity on it. We need to photograph the install. We need to discuss a party. Now we have.
What is the location on the box?
The location is 140 Kendrick Street, which is Kendrick, 3rd Ave, kind of outside like the PTC building, which is empty right now. So they're going to pull up to load in their brand new offices that are going in there, which I don't remember the name of the company that's loading in. And they're going to be greeted by this gorgeous piece of artwork right in front of them.
I think it's been very popular lately because of Cutler too. A lot more people have been down that way.
Yeah.
So.
So I'm wondering if maybe we do a big celebration when we get the 3rd box finished, and do all 3 together as a series. And because as Betsy Mullane has already gotten us money for the 3rd box, so we have the $1,500 funding. And she has a question. Go, Betsy.
I wanted to know who is funding this box. Is it BID?
This is the Beth Israel Deaconess.
Okay, great. It always helps. Yael had a wonderful article in the Hometown News. It always helps to have an article because it makes people feel good and it makes people feel competitive. They think, whoa, well, they gave an art box and got publicity. I'll fund an art box. So if there's any way possible, we can get a little publicity from this, that would be great. Thank you.
And I don't know if you noticed, but Julia got in a link to the Needham Bank actually on our newsletter. So send that newsletter to the Needham Bank because there's a link with Anne's gorgeous picture. Did you see, Anne, your picture is in the newsletter? And then the article, I don't know if we ever discussed, there was a recent article that Yael got into the paper as well. So, and that mentioned Needham Bank. So now we'll have to move on to bid and get some publicity for this second one. And then third box ideas. I don't know if we want to have a quick discussion here, or if we should hand it off to the Art Box Committee again. We did meet and discuss ideas for the third box pre-COVID as an RFQ, request for qualifications, instead of getting everyone to submit the actual designs, which is a lot of work, unpaid work for artists, professional artists, really. An RFQ would work where we just have them submit their resume and 3 past works, not necessarily having anything to do with what we want to see on the box, but just their past work. But I was leaning more towards having a theme for this box or a partnership. And I'm not sure if other people have ideas for it that they want to discuss now, because this is one spot, and then we'll talk about public art projects and murals in the next agenda item. But this is one spot where we could have a response to the injustices of this summer still moving forwards. Does anybody want to raise their hand and talk about any kind of ideas they have for the third box? Kristen Mazzacci, I'm calling on you.
I just want to put my vote in. I like the idea of a student artist or student artists, maybe.
Yeah. One voted for partnership with student artists. Anybody else want to raise their hand and with ideas they have for the third box? Okay, so maybe we'll have the Art Box Committee meet again. If anyone else wants to join the Art Box Committee, let me know, email me, raise your hand, and you can join it, and we'll just work on that third box concept. Okay, so moving on to our next agenda item, update on potential public art projects. So from the last meeting, I volunteered to call Paul Good, who is the chair of the Needham Community Revitalization Trust Fund. Yes. He's got 4 mural projects going on. They've got so many different projects that they're working on. Besides the 4 murals, they're doing an electrical box in Thorpe Park with Eddie Bruckner. They still need a ton of money for that. They're also doing the gallery, revolving gallery that we've talked about in Eaton Square, that they need maybe $60,000 to get accomplished. A lot of money. He could use a fundraising partner because they just kind of wait and hope. I don't know what their fundraising plan, I think could use some assistance from anybody who's willing to do that. So that might be a way we could partner with them. I was thinking we should call him in to a meeting at one point. He's been in the past. He came to our reception last year and talked about it a little bit, but the 4 mural projects he has going on are as follows. There's one in Eaton Square, which I've just mentioned, and you probably have no idea that that's where the train station is in Needham Center. It's called Eaton Square. So that's where the gallery changing exhibit is, but there's also in the parking lot area, they're doing like a wall mural, which is Ridge Hill history. There's also a location near the Needham Fine Wines where they're doing a mural with one of the artists from Gorse Mills, Barbara Johansson Newman. And then there was a 4th location kind of near, I will say in the town district. He didn't want to disclose the location to me in the town center. The other, but I would say probably where he's thinking, we have a lead with Kathy Friedberg. And Kathy, I wanted to invite you to mention, you had a location idea for a mural or a contact with a person that owns a space there. Is that still a possibility that we should discuss?
Yes, hi, it's Kathy Friedberg. So the mural space would be the building that Treat Cupcake is located in. So it would be the wall that faces Walgreens parking lot. So if everyone can visualize that, I'm sure we've all been in that parking lot. So I think it's a pretty large wall. The owner was actually very interested in the idea. He's would like to do something fun, creative, and obviously, loves the creative art idea. So he was very interested and open to it.
I took a picture
Oh, perfect.
of the space. Can you see that?
So let's see.
This is high tech, serious high tech.
Why does
That's
that not look familiar to me?
because they repainted it recently, actually.
But it looks like there's a lot of windows there.
There's a bunch of windows.
Really, facing Walgreens?
Yeah, yes, this is on that, the side where the, isn't it a healthcare medical
Yeah,
office?
there's a medical office.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe up above, higher.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
a lot of windows, but
Yeah,
then
above.
space
Yes.
next to it.
Okay. Thanks. But there's like the lower part is white, isn't it? And
Yes,
there's like parking spaces that you sort of drive into, drive-in spaces that face the building. I think those spaces are typically for that particular building and not Walgreens. But anyway, that's the wall. Of course, we don't know what Paul Good has going, but I think if this particular individual was talking to Paul Good, we would have heard about it. So
that's a potential location. The other potential location was Tamitha Bibble, the principal of the Pollard Middle School, is open to murals there. And I think Kristen was talking, the community center is thinking of doing something potentially there. They would be a good partner if we wanted to help. Kristen, you want to say something on that?
Yeah, I just want to say that, yeah, so the community center had just spoken, I think it was, I'm going to forget her name. Well, anyway, one of the people on the community center board has kids at Pollard, and so she just talked to Tamitha, and there's just a giant wall in that school that she seems open to having painted. But the talk at that point was about doing it this summer, and so that was more exciting to me, to get it done faster and maybe have it even have to do with what's been going on. But it just seems like that kind of has passed time-wise. So in terms of NC, like Needham Cultural Council, I do think an outdoor space would be a better place to put everyone's energies. And I just have one thought about this, because I feel like this is an idea that's been floating around, but we've never been able to like really jump on it and bring it to fruition. So the one thing is that the town did hire a new economic development person. It used to be Deborah, but it might be worth having a meeting with her when she gets on. I can't remember her name. She's coming from Dedham. She was very involved in the Dedham Center revitalization. To see if we can get someone from the town to kind of jump on board and really get excited about this. And maybe if it is someone's building, we don't need the town that involved. But I do feel like we've just struggled taking the next step on this type of thing. So I don't know what the best next step is, but that I just read that she was hired, and I thought maybe that was a good place to start.
He's a good point person.
Yeah.
So the other two project ideas, after listening to the community update from the Mass Cultural Council, I explored, there's this product called Rainworks, which I bought a sample of. It's basically spray on paint that lasts 3 to 4 months. And last year, the Medford Arts Council used it as a haiku project. So you basically make a stencil and you spray paint it on the ground. It's rain activated. You only see it when it rains. So it's short term and cheap. So I wrote to them. They said they'd probably have a bunch of extra if we wanted it as well. And that is something I thought would be temporary and an interesting project we could get students involved on, and also potentially uplifting. We could either do quotes or song lyrics, or the difficult part is doing the stencils. But they would sort of be unexpected surprises when you're walking around town, and then you see them. That was another COVID-related project I thought that could be short term and probably easily accomplished. In some cities like Seattle, for example, you don't even need permitting for it. It's like doing sidewalk chalk, even though it lasts a couple months. I think we'd need permission to do it, but it would kind of be easy. The stencils are I think the hard part to come up with, but it might be a fun project to get students in on. And then the pianos are still, I think, up in the air probably because we don't want to be touching any public art pieces where everybody will be touching the same space. Did anybody have any ideas, or that anybody want to raise their hand and add something? Is that you, Monique?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you looking for ideas about what? About what goes on?
Do you love any of these project ideas? Are you interested? Does anything jazz you? Should we move forward? I guess my idea is that a mural is, I think, in the ballpark of $2,000 to $7,000, depending on how we accomplish it. We don't have the budget for that. We'd have to fundraise.
Yeah. So we're involved in Model United Nations, and there's lots of goals that the UN has for sustainability. I know social justice and strong institutions is one of them, such as we've seen represented by a lot of the current events through the summer. Dovetailing with that is all the other things about the Sustainable Development Goals that really connect and are symbiotic with with global health and a better future, wellness. One of them, water. You mentioned that when it rains, it shows up. Well, right now, water is going to be our scarcest resource in the future. In the future, there are people who are going to, be impossible for them to even have water, and it's going to be even more limited quantity of water on the globe. So maybe something about the importance of water, the sustainability of water, conserving water, just raising awareness to that. Maybe that's what I can, my little humble addition here to the conversation. And there's also, strong institutions, making sure that all children have, education, and just many things that you could highlight and create a collage of themes. Or anything with water is very interesting because that's going to be our scarcest resource by 2060.
You did have something to share. I love it. Also, I think the Rainworks Project to me seems more accessible, easily accomplished, and cheaper, and maybe having like a direct impact and quicker. If you guys, are you interested in seeing what some of them look like? I can share my screen if you want to see like a quick. So these are some of the ones that have been done in the past. This was a quick perusal. But so in the top left, you can see it's dry. That's what it looks like when it rains, like a little game like that.
So cool.
Yeah.
It's just
Rain and grayness is,
Well, can that be married to the UN goals? I mean, could Monique have some statements that are very short, like make cool stuff, whatever, or that one that says extra years of life that tie into the UN?
Yeah, there's so many statements I could give you guys, just they're endless. And I work with United Nations Association of Greater Boston, and our club is Greater Boston Model UN. And so there are many of them. There's 17 sustainable goals: peace and justice and strong institutions, gender rights, women's rights, just endless. It's sustainability. Right now, water is going to be our scarcest resource in the future. One of the United Nations delegates was talking to me. She's the Dean Rachel Kite of the Tufts Tufts Fletcher School for Law and Diplomacy, and she said our future these children's future will be all about water and
So
sustainability.
that being said, the stencils need to be made. So Monique, can you look at these stencils and come up with
Yeah.
a couple of short sayings that
Yeah.
Charlie could review?
Yes,
I
you
think
can.
Charlie, being able to piggyback something that's of global interest makes it a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I can do that for you. I'll give you whatever I have, and then you can decide what you want to do with it.
I feel like finding a partner that for this project would be awesome, because it would give it some focus, because it could go in a million different directions. What do you think, Sharon?
I'm wondering, Sharon Breitbart, I'm wondering if Hillside still has its water project. Sunita Williams School. Anyone with little people there? No. They had a whole water project. So maybe worth reaching out there for younger kids as well.
Kristen, was it you that was telling me about that the town was really interested in statements about phones down, head up, like public safety messages?
Yeah, Sandy had mentioned that she was somewhat interested in that kind of a thing on the sidewalks. The other interesting thing, I don't know, Kathy, if you think this would be at all helpful, would work, it would be about voting and like working with the women's voting. I don't know.
Yeah, he was specific that it be not political.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think this won't work on a wall as a mural. It has to be on the ground because of the dripping and the blurriness. But my true heart is in the asphalt art project, and
I know.
getting some amazing work on the ground. And I feel like this is just a really cool product that could help us in a step towards something like that. If people saw this on a small scale and saw what it could do for the community, that would be a way to get in a larger scale asphalt ground mural project.
On that note, I think that the community center group is the right group to partner on possibly some sort of project that has to do with the street and the pedestrian safety crosswalk. So they're not really meeting this summer, but hopefully in the fall we could make some headway with them.
Okay. Does anybody, and are there any other partners anyone can think of that I did address, remember the two students I'd mentioned before for the picnic table project. I talked to them about their interest in it, and I think it'd be pretty easy to get some students involved in actually producing it and getting it out there. I think it would be our job to pick a focus for whether we want it to be a social justice statement, just something that lightens somebody's day, or something community submitted, or public safety. Anybody else have thoughts on it? Okay, well, maybe when the Art Box committee meets, we can look at it more. I'm going to test the product myself in my street, and we'll see if I get arrested or not. And then I'll be in connection with the Medford Arts Council too. They gave me a whole list of tips and tricks and how to use the product, because I want to make sure it can blur. The stencils have to be a specific way. So we'll test it out. And then if other people think of any partners, or if anything. I loved the haikus, but any kind of statement of interest.
Does it have to be one thing, Charlie? Could it be a collage of different things?
I think it'd be a collage, but in terms of the media presentation of it, it has to fit under a theme that we can promote in a way that makes meaningful sense. So get in touch with me on that. And then if nobody else has any hands raised or any other questions, I will move on to the discussion of member recruitment. Everybody should be testing their contact lists and looking for adding members. I had a conversation with Kristen. I actually found 3 people who are interested in joining us. One of them I had a conversation with. She's a potter who has uses a space at Gorse Mills, so she's tapped into the Gorse Mills studio. She's interested in joining. And then 2 other potential artists in the town. I have not, in the past, I know we've made a flyer and put it in the newspaper. I haven't promoted past our contact lists. Has anybody had any luck? I know Elizabeth had one suggestion she was going to leave that she shared with us or with me. Does anybody else have any leads or questions or ways that we maybe should promote and get board recruitment out there? Do you think we should post on Facebook, or is that just too broad? I guess the question. Go ahead, Kristen.
Students, like high school students? I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, I think the answer is that you're allowed to have a student on the cultural council, but they're not a voting member. They just basically attend and kind of maybe like how they have on the school committee council. There's that'd be a good idea.
I know some like theater
What?
kids who I think would be interested, probably.
What was that?
I said, I think I have a few theater kids who'd probably be interested, and I have to imagine it's something they like for their resume.
Yeah.
You know?
Betsy, did you have someone in mind?
No, I was just thinking that Facebook is a good recruitment tool. I head up some networking groups, and believe me, you won't get a lot of people, but the ones that you get will be good ones if you announce it on Facebook.
Yeah. I wanted to use our contacts first as a way of recruiting, but if we don't have a ton of leads, then maybe. I think getting maybe 2 or 3 new members would be good. But,
well, if the marketing team could come up with a cute little Facebook thing to share around, I think it's great. I think that would be a good thing for all of us to post on Facebook, like we're all going to be linking this newsletter to people that we know will be interested. And, you know, going about it that way, getting the word out that way. A lot of people don't know the Needham Cultural Council exists.
okay. I put a little section at the bottom of the newsletter too, so who knows? Okay, so if nobody else has any questions or comments for that agenda item, we'll move on to our last one, and we might even get out of here by 8 o'clock. The last thing, scheduling another business on our agenda. The other business is a Needham Lights update. Kristen and I sat in on a call with Sandy Sincata. Her concept for Needham Lights Up is sort of a holiday show where the whole town puts up lights and celebrates their spirit of the season with businesses. Some of the players at the meeting was the Needham's Women's Club to see if they could combine. They do the holiday house tour, and this year they're changing it into the holiday doorway tour. So there was some ideas that bounced around about that, but I think she's going to be leading that, and it didn't seem like there was going to be a lot of. Kristen had some awesome suggestions, and I don't know what the follow-up is going to be. She definitely had a concept that she was going to run with, I think. Did you want to add anything to that, Kristen?
Yeah, no, I think the meeting started out thinking this was going to be like an all town-wide awesome big thing, and then it kind of like, I think the women's group kind of has their way of doing things and their focus, and then Sandy kind of had a pretty focused idea as well, and I don't think it'll be quite as a cohesive big thing as maybe it could have been. And I don't know where Needham Cultural Council will fit in, because if it goes Sandy's direction, most people are just decorating their houses. And if the women's group does their thing, it's all kind of plan by them. So it didn't seem like there'd necessarily be like a Needham Cultural Council part to it.
Yeah, and the part that I found difficult is that the Winter Arts Festival is canceled, and so without the artists getting to sell their booths, that's another point where they're losing income. She mentioned that they could possibly do it when they're able to open up, but clearly it's like a holiday craft fair, and so that they're making their money on that kind of gifts, and so I'm not sure how successful that would be in the spring. But as a side note, the Open Studios, Needham Open Studios, did reach out to us today too to say that they canceled the Open Studios tour that would be happening around that time, and I asked them if they are going to be doing an online marketplace, and they said that they have sort of set up a virtual site for it. When it was canceled, they're going to market it, but I suggested it as more of a marketplace. So we'll see where they go with that. But that's the update on the Needham Lights and the Winter Arts Festival, basically. So that's off our plate for this year. So we have some more free time on our hands, I guess. Indoor time. The other thing was Arlequin Theater reached out again, and they're looking for outside venues for performance. They're also looking for, they have a list of technical equipment that they're needing because they're doing a lot of more virtual. So if you have any leads on those, feel free to share them with me and I can share them with them. And for scheduling, we have the next 4 dates on there, and there is a typo on the agenda, so please make a note. It's not December 23rd, it's December 28th. November 23rd, October 26th, and our next meeting is September 21st. And that's when we'll be setting our priorities for release of the applications that open October 1st, fingers crossed. Any questions, hand raised, comments on that? Awesome. That was it. We survived our first meeting. Yay! Thank you for being here, Kristen. I left some bribery tools at her house this morning to make from us saying thank you for being such an amazing.
Yes, thank you. That was so nice. And I
Yeah.
promise I won't come to every meeting. I'm not stalking you guys. I just figured I'd help if there were any questions.
Please
Hey,
come.
you're a member of the general arts community and interested public, so show up
Good.
anytime.
Awesome.
Basically, it was just because I've needed a lot of help the past couple of weeks, and she has been there every moment stepping in.
I still need to make you a binder. I'll work on that.
Yeah,
Oh, you totally rocked it, Charlie. You totally
you
rocked it.
did.
You
You did
guys
great.
rock. Thank you so much for being here. Email me with questions, and we'll see you
Well,
September 21st. So we are
nice seeing everybody.
adjourning at 8:03 officially. Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
Sharon Breitbart, so moved.
Sharon Breitbart, anyone second?
Gail Lusted second.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
So I don't vote.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Great meeting. Thank you,
See you
Charlie.
next time.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.